No, for our feature presentation. Let's sing a song. Now let's not sing a song.
Virtual Kids, Pikmin 1 and 2, with special guest star
happyWolfXD.
Hey guys, it's me, Virtual Kid, and happyWolfXD, and Pikmin series. We love the Pikmin series. I mean, it's just a really great series, and we're really excited to review it. We've just loved it for so many years, and I think it's finally a really good time for us to talk about it now that he's kind of helped me out with my channel. So you want to say a couple things before we start the review?
Well, the Pikmin series is a really good series because it's strategic, and you also don't need to be very strategic because you can just tap the A button to just chuck the Pikmin at the enemies and crush them.
Yeah, like it requires like twitch reflexes and strategicness. Like you gotta really think, but even if you're in a bad situation, you can just move on.
Yeah.
Like anyone can play it. Alright, let's get down to the game. Pikmin was released as a GameCube launch title in 2001. It was definitely one of the top titles for the GameCube for several years. But in 2004, Pikmin 2 was released, which had a lot more depth and had a lot of aspects that just made the game a lot better. But Pikmin 1 is still fun. But we're going to talk about them both at the same time. So, let's get down to it. So the story is, Captain Olimar from Hocotate Freight is hit by an asteroid and crash lands on a small planet. But once he arrives, he realizes that 30 pieces of his ship have been lost, including his engine, so he cannot leave. He also realizes that he only has 30 days to live before his oxygen supply runs out, and the poisonous oxygen from this planet kills him. So he finds aid from small creatures called Pikmin that are willing to help him get his engine back, and hopefully the rest of his ship.
The asteroid knocked
So,
down.
the story of Pikmin 2 is Olimar, after returning safely back to Hocotate, finds that his company is in debt. So they sell his spaceship, the SS Dolphin, and find out that a souvenir he brought back for his son is worth a lot of money. So the president sends Olimar and new employee Louie back to the Pikmin planet to collect more treasures. And once there, they find the Pikmin and they decide to help Olimar and Louie retrieve treasures and pay off their debt.
In the main game, you use your Pikmin to kill enemies, destroy walls, collect ship parts, harvest Pikmin, and survive. But the main goal of this game is to multitask. You could use 30 of your Pikmin to destroy a wall, or you use the other 70 to collect enemy carcasses and find other ship parts.
And in the second game, it's basically the same thing, but instead of ship parts, it's treasures and there are holes. But we'll get to the holes later. And the A button throws your Pikmin like that, and if you hold the A button, you can use the D-pad to switch what color Pikmin you want to use. The B button whistles to call your Pikmin back to you. The X button sorts them by color. The C-stick swarms them, which makes it easier to attack enemies or get to one side quickly. L, R, and Z switch the angles of the camera. And the Y button switches between... The Y button switches between the two players.
But in the first game, the Y button brings up the radar, as there are no two characters.
And in this game, start will bring up the map.
Unlike Mario Kart Wii, where Y button does nothing.
The up D-pad is Ultra Bitter Spray, which turns enemy to stones. And the down D-pad is Ultra Spicy Spray, which powers up your Pikmin for a short time.
And also, the two captains can be really useful. Like, one can work on breaking down a wall, while one could work on collecting treasures. Each day has a time limit represented by this meter, and when the sun gets to the bottom,
the day ends, and all the Pikmin, either not with you or not by the onion, will get eaten by nocturnal monsters. By the end of the day, make sure all of the Pikmin are either with you or near the onion.
and after the day ends, you get to pick the next area that you'll be salvaging in for the day. As I said before, there are 3 different types of Pikmin. Red Pikmin, which are slightly stronger than the other Pikmin and can withstand fire. Yellow Pikmin, which can be thrown higher than other Pikmin and can pick up these things called bomb rocks, which can be used to kill enemies and destroy certain walls. And blue Pikmin, which can survive in water, as well as save them. Well, sometimes. David, thank you. Also, you use your Pikmin to harvest this other Pikmin by bringing back pellets or dead enemies. Like so. But if, say, you bring a yellow pellet to a yellow onion, it will give you 2 Pikmin. But if you, say, bring a blue pellet to a red onion, then it will only give you 1.
In this game, in the second game, yellows can no longer lift bomb rocks because they're not in the game, but instead they can resist electricity, which would normally be a one-hit KO to any other Pikmin. And purples, and there are 2 new Pikmin in here. Purples, who can lift 10 times more than other Pikmin, and are 10 times heavier, but are also really slow. Oh, and they can sometimes stun other enemies if you throw them right on top of them.
They're also incredibly powerful.
And white, which can withstand poison, and they can poison enemies if the enemy eats them. They are slightly faster than the other Pikmin, and if they can see hidden items or buried items and dig them up. But purple and white Pikmin can't be obtained through onions. You can only get them through white and purple candy pop buds by throwing other Pikmin into the candy pop buds. It will shoot them out as a different color.
There are also red, blue, and yellow candy pop buds.
And queen candy pop buds. But right now, we're just going to show the white candy pop buds.
White and purple Pikmin randomly decide which onion to bring their items to, but both races are stored inside the ship.
And that concludes our first part. Sorry we couldn't record the first part. Sorry, it's going to be like a week, so expect that sometime in early May. So, I guess we'll see you next time.